Welcome in everybody to Fantasy Pros. It's time to go to court. It is me, Joey P. Joe Pisapia with me today. Derek Brown, Terrell Furman Jr. We're going to debate some players for everybody here to get your takes as the jury of whether or not we're going to be drafting these players in 2025. Some controversial names, perhaps maybe even a rookie or two, some second-year players. We've got a lot of fun here, and don't forget, everybody, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Drop your comments below. That's what you want to do here. And of course, like this video because I'm wearing this wig and it's very hot. It's 97 degrees here. I'm upstairs in the office and I'm sweating bullets for your entertainment. That's what I'm doing. So here's what's going to happen today. We're going to change this up. Sometimes we've had somebody as the prosecutor and the defender defending their own rankings and yada, 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 yada. This time, Derek Brown is ahead of the expert consensus rankings. And Terrell Furman Jr. is going to be the public defender and defend the ECR from Derek Brown's aggression, because that's what's going on here today. So, Terrell, I know sometimes the public defender office doesn't always, have the best salary, but I'm happy you showed up to work today anyway.
Oh, what? I do this for the love of the game. The money doesn't mean anything for me.
Sounds like a true public defender, baby.
Just the love of arguing.
Ah, the love of arguing. Well, as an Italian, I appreciate that. I just want to put that out there. Like that's where my love of arguing always began, in the home. D-Bro, Derek Brown, you're always one to be aggressive on players. Sometimes in the past you've been 100% right. Other times less right. So are you confident that you've got all your ducks in a row here for 2025 with some of these names we're going to talk about today?
I would like to push back on the phrasing and framing of this, Your Honor. You're framing this as I'm being aggressive. I think it's the ECR as being repressive, if anything.
Overruled. Sorry,
Objection.
your objection.
He didn't answer the question, Your Honor.
Yeah, I mean,
I did with a question.
Yeah, he's avoiding already. So avoidance. The objection is sustained by Terrell Furman Jr. there. So we're going to keep pushing here. Again, don't forget to like the stream, hang out with us here over at Fantasy Pros, and let's begin the arguing. So as always, Judge Judy is not around these parts. We're dealing with Judge Joey, and I am Judge Joey, an executioner around these parts. Let the debates begin. Let us bring our first defendant to the courtroom. Bring them in. It's Cam Skattebo. We might need a little bit of a high chair for Cam because he's a little on the shorter side, but we might have it reinforced because he's a little bit of a stocky, tough guy too. This guy's built like a fire hydrant. I love that about Cam Skattebo. I loved him in college. He's fun to watch. The highlight films are there. Also, the big performance in the big game against Texas was also there. What an incredible performance. Now, D-Bro is more aggressive than expert consensus rankings, but it's not absurd. So let's talk about it. D-Bro, you have Cam Skattebo at RB31, Terrell Furman Jr. The ECR has him at 38. So, D-Bro, let's first start with Terrell, actually. We're going to start with Terrell. Terrell, let's talk about the expert consensus of 38. Why it's a good idea for Cam Skattebo. He is a rookie. You are a Giants fan. You know Tracy is still around. So let's talk about the expert consensus rankings and whether or not that is a more reasonable draft spot here potentially for Skattebo this season.
Well, thank you for putting my Giants fandom out there in the street for everybody to just know.
You're welcome.
I didn't know if I wanted to claim that this year or not, but I guess I have to now.
It's too late for that.
Let's talk about.
You know what that's called, Terrell? Discovery. Discovery. That's what that's called.
Let's talk about the history of this coaching staff and this GM offense and running backs here, because I think the big thing that they're talking about is Cam Skattebo can come in here and be a workhorse running back and get majority of the snaps and where that unfolds. But this coaching staff has actually believed in two running back systems. They just haven't had the opportunity to be able to implement it for whatever reason. Go back to 2019, rookie Devin Singletary. Yes, he was a workhouse back then. He was getting 66% of snaps in the last 10 of his games that he played in. Very much so, he was the guy on the field all the time. Go to 2020. Now that changes. He only has 66% of snaps in 3 of 14 games that new Zach Moss played in. He also got outsnapped by Moss in 6 of those games. So it was more of a 50-50 backfield there. You get to 2021 when Moss was healthy weeks 2 through 11. He was, again, split backfield with Moss outsnapping him 6 times. And that's the incumbent. That's the guy that's the incumbent. So, yeah, you may feel good about Cam Skattebo there, but is Cam Skattebo going to be automatically gifted 70% of snaps? I don't think so. This coaching staff, when they have the options, they like to go 50-50, 60-40, keep it somewhere around there. Depends who's rolling that time or here or there. Let's go all the way to Tyrone Tracy last season, where Singletary was the back coming in. Tyrone Tracy came in, took over the last few weeks, and he looked great. But guess what? The offensive line didn't. The Giants' run game as a whole did not. 30th in EPA per rush, 31st in success rate, 26th in explosive run rate. Yes, Cam Skattebo has the talent. Yes, they are very, very good, but the Giants were 20th in running back yards before contact last year at 0.87. It's hard to get missed tackles, make those explosive plays when you can't even get a yard off the ball without somebody.
All right, so Terrell Furman has made a case here for the reasonable ranking here of Cam Skattebo. Now, I am a Cam Skattebo fan. Just for context as well, for the jury who's sitting out there, Cam Skattebo right now currently at the 38th spot, right around Zach Charbonnet, Ramondre Stevenson, Jordan Mason, guys who are all kind of working split backfields. Najee Harris is in this range too. Where Derek Brown has him is actually ironic at 31, because that is exactly where Tyrone Tracy Jr. is going. So, Derek Brown, are you here telling me that the lead back of the Giants backfield is not Tyrone Tracy, but it's actually Cam Skattebo?
I absolutely am, Your Honor. I think you have to pick the way that we should be approaching this backfield. And Terrell talked about it being possibly a committee situation, and I will push back against my other courtroom mate here and say that I think that angle of looking at this backfield is incorrect. If you go back to Brian Daboll's history, he wants a clear workhorse running back. And yes, in Buffalo, like fine, Devin Singletary and Zach Moss shared time at times. That's more of an indictment on Zach Moss than it is anything with Devin Singletary, because Devin Singletary was a workhorse during his time in Buffalo at later iterations of that offense. But even go back to last year, guys, there was no Saquon Barkley. We could talk about Saquon Barkley and Brian Daboll. I won't, because we're talking about different talent levels of players. But look at what New York did last season. Most current iteration of a Brian Daboll offense in 2024, 7 games. And Devin Singletary and Tyrone Tracy are both in this sample. 7 games where a running back played 70% or more of the snaps. 12 games, a running back played at least 65% of the snaps. And now we're discussing, okay, they go out and they draft Cam Skattebo. They give him more draft capital in a deep running back class than they did Tyrone Tracy the year prior. So what does that say about Cam Skattebo? They could have waited on running back if they just wanted to add a complimentary piece to Tyrone Tracy, and for this to be a committee. And I'll give a pop quiz to the jury out there. Does anybody know, considering Brian Daboll's love and affinity for this type of archetype of running back, does anybody know who the OC for the Cleveland Browns was the year that Peyton Hillis went off? Give you a hint, Brian Daboll. Cam Skattebo is going to take over this backfield, and when people are approaching this backfield for the New York Giants, with my ranking, or if you want to go with Tracy, I think it's the wrong angle, you need to approach this backfield with picking one guy to be the clear workhorse. And I believe with the draft capital, the things that Brian Daboll has done, both in his history and in this draft class, it will be Cam Skattebo. And he's also working with the first team offense already, people.
So what you're saying is Cam Skattebo is going to be on the cover of Madden next year, right? That's what you're alluding to?
Maybe. I hope not for his.
I will say this:
6 outlook.
If there was ever a John Madden kind of football player, it's definitely Cam Skattebo. Mm-hmm. I wish he had lived to see him play football. That would have been a good time. Boom! He would have loved saying that. All right, I'm going to let the jury now take over from here. Are we going to be drafting Cam Skattebo this year or not? As the jury deliberates, I want to continue the conversation and give them some more information. That's right, because this is the destination to get you the best fantasy advice you could possibly handle. Let's get a question here from Clutch. Tracy has fumble issues. This is correct, Terrell. Mm-hmm. This is the one thing that's kind of haunted him a little bit last year. And, we had an idea. We thought, okay, Devin Singletary is the guy, and then Tracy became the guy. So it wasn't like this was a running back situation set in stone last season. Do the fumble issues concern you this season? And if there are fumble issues early in preseason or in week 1 or 2, could that expedite the Cam Skattebo rise?
No, I actually am not worried about the fumble issues because despite the fumble issues he had last year, he was still getting all the snaps and all the work there. It was because Devin Singletary was a shell of himself after the early season injury, and he never could get back to form throughout the rest of the season. And they really had no choice but to go to Tyrone Tracy. So, yes, I do think the fumble issues for Tracy, it may lead into that split. It may lead into Cam Skattebo having some type of role in this offense. But at the end of the day, I think that Devin Singletary is still going to have some minute role that's going to be very annoying for all fantasy managers, depending on what side you're on. It's still going to be annoying. I think that Tracy and Skattebo are going to cut into their own production and thus bringing down both of their value in an offense that the run game is already not good in.
All right, Debro, right around that range where you have anointed Cam Skattebo. You're talking about Travis Etienne, who's had some good seasons, Brian Robinson Jr., who is very safe, perhaps unspectacular, but the floor is very real. Tony Pollard, who has delivered multiple 1,000-yard seasons, and nobody seems to care about this but me. I feel like you do a little bit too. There's 3 straight years of 1,000 yards rushing, and nobody seems to care. Guys like Caleb Johnson, RJ Harvey, who I know you have it like RB2 overall this year. So are you comfortable, though? Cam Skattebo with that ranking, he has got to get past a lot of guys who have already done it before. Now, whether or not they can do it in 2025, that's up for debate. But this ranking you have of 31, the confidence level has to be super high that he can not only meet those other guys, but possibly exceed those expectations.
I think he definitely can because, again, like I've outlined, Dayball last year wanted one clear workhorse, and it wasn't until Tracy almost fumbled away the opportunity altogether and this team went away from him at one point last season that almost happened. So I think they want one clear guy, and Cam Skattebo, we didn't even talk about the receiving upside and utility. All the camp clips coming out, half of them, okay, fine. They're Cam Skattebo taking the ball and on the rushing department. There's just as many about his involvement in the red zone and the passing game that are coming out of camp. The Skattebo receiving upside is going to be slept on, and that's what can vault him above some of those other players that you mentioned, Joey.
All right, the results are in. The jury has come back with a verdict, and I have to say I've done my best not to tip the scales and put my finger on the scales because everybody knows how much I love Cam Skattebo, but that's not what we're here for today. This is a courtroom situation, damn it, that is here abiding by the laws of the Fantasy Pros YouTube stream. That's what we're doing here. And with a whopping 86%, people are going to draft Cam Skattebo this year. There you go. In favor of Cam Skattebo. Terrell, this was an uphill journey for you, I think, a little bit. Be honest, Terrell. Is there a little part of you that really wants Cam Skattebo to really succeed too, just because of that little giant blue pennant that you're going to have above your bed this whole winter?
Oh, yeah. I mean, part of me wants him to succeed, and other part of me wants everything to fail so that Joe Shane and Brian Daboll can realize they have no idea what they're doing.
Fair enough. That's a real Giant fan right there, folks. That's what a real fan wants. Pain and suffering to move on to better times ahead. Speaking of better times, nothing's much better than free stuff. Oh, man, free stuff is the best, including our giveaway this month, a James Cook signed jersey from pristineauction.com. Judge Joey, how do you win this? I'll tell you how you win it. What you do is you subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel, drop your comments below, like this video right now, like it. That's all you got to do. You drop your comments, you're already hanging out with us. And, of course, ring the bell till it goes ding for notifications so we can let you know if you are the big winner this month of the James Cook jersey. We got more giveaways coming in August, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a piece of content here on the channel. And perhaps this James Cook jersey from Pristine Auction can be yours. All right, gentlemen, and I use that term as loosely as possible with you two. Let's move on to the next discussion point here. It's another rookie running back. This backfield is even more crowded, and I think patience is running thin with a lot of fantasy managers. If you watched yesterday's mock draft episode, I did take 2/3 of this backfield. How do I feel about it? I'm still a little unsure, but I feel like I got 2/3 of a chance of having the right guy, and that is 66.6% chance. And if I start doing my Scott Steiner math, I might just lose my mind here on the program. But the next guy we're going to talk about, bring him into the courtroom. It is Bhayshul Tuten, rookie, Jacksonville Jaguars. Debro, extremely aggressive. RB 32, Terrell Furman Jr. The ECR has him at 52. Far more theoretically reasonable for the third guy in a backfield. Now, we all know Liam Cohen is the new guy, and sometimes we got to follow and keep track of who the new head coaches select because that's typically the guys they want to use. But He's got a guy on an expiring contract. He's got another guy there in Bigsby who could still be really solid potentially after a decent 2024 season. So Derek Brown, first, I'm going to let you make the case for your, dare I say, absurd ranking here. I just want to point this out. At RB32, he's right behind Cam Skattebo. So here leapfrogging all of those other handcuff guys, all of the proven number twos or the prospective number twos, and instead you're moving Bhayshul Tuten all the way there, whereas Terrell, the ECR, has him much closer to the Jalen Wrights and Isaac Arendos and the guys that, things would have to happen for them to really kind of take over. So Derek Brown, court is now in session officially for Bhayshul Tuten. Discuss and defend your obscene ranking.
I don't think it's obscene. I think what's obscene is the fact that ECR has Travis Etienne at RB30. And all I'm saying with my ranking is that I don't think Travis Etienne will be the player that leads this backfield. I think if we're dividing between these three players, my chips are going to be behind Bhayshul Tuten, considering draft capital, considering a new head coach and no previous allegiances to Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne, considering where Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby are at in their careers. And I know Tank is getting some love in the hype streets out of camp and stuff like that, but we know that he's probably not going to have a pass game role. Bhayshul Tuten could have that. We've seen the utility in college, as well as the explosiveness both at the combine and in the collegiate level. And Etienne is not a player, like, if we want to be drafting the leader of this backfield, people are saying in ECR that it's Travis Etienne at RB30. I say that's wrong. Etienne last year looked like a player who was on his last legs. And I understand, okay, well, maybe some of that's injuries. How do you know that Travis Etienne is going to stay healthy this upcoming season? And do we really want to invest in a player that last year was 45th in missed tackles forced per attempt, 30th in yards after contact per attempt? Everybody touts about how great of a pass catcher he is, although he's never crested over 1.2 yards per route run in his NFL's career, as well as, is Liam Cohen going to trust him on passing downs, considering Travis Etienne last year, 58 pass blocking snaps, 8 hurries, and 13 pressures allowed? Trevor Lawrence isn't even going to trust his former collegiate teammate if that continues in 2025. So while ECR believes it'll be Tank, or they're saying loudly that it'll be Travis Etienne, I say ECR is wrong. I say it's Bhayshul Tuten.
All right. So public defender
I
object. Of the ECR. Of course you do. Of course you do. And look, I think this one is right here. This is a slam dunk for you. That first one might have been a little tough.
Hey, it was tough. I got a better chance.
I think your heart was in that one. I think deep down, like, you kind of wanted Cam Skattebo to be a raging success. This one's a little different. Bhayshul Tuten is speedy, no doubt about that. Explosive, great 40 time at the combine. 5'9", 209, not the biggest back, obviously, but again, the game has changed considerably and evolved over the last 5 years. So those backs certainly have a place now in the NFL. But he does have a crowded depth chart. And I think that is the thing we're all trying to work out here. It's not so much if Bhayshul Tuten can become a useful guy, but it's more of a when scenario, Terrell. So let's talk about that, because I think the ECR is baking into here at 52, which ironically, after we put the show together, it's even moved up to 49 right now. So it's right in that around 50 range. There are two other very capable guys ahead of him. And for a rookie head coach, maybe you don't want to rely on the rookie running back.
Yeah, and I also want to say that my allegiances on this episode have really been tested, because not only is Bhayshul Tuten a former North Carolina A&T Aggie, my alma mater, but he's also a Virginia Tech Hokie, a team that I wish I could have played for. So here we go. But I'm here to talk about piece of evidence number 1, Exhibit A, Liam Cohen's history with running backs, because he was the offensive coordinator that was in charge of whatever was going on in the Rams backfield in 2022. That same backfield where it was Darnell Henderson, then it was Cam Akers, and then it was Darnell Henderson again, then it was Kyron Williams, then it was Ronnie Rivers, then it was Malcolm Brown, then it was Cam Akers again, all of that confusion. So we go back a couple years to that, and hey, he feels comfortable with whoever he has in that moment. He likes the person that can run the ball. That's going to be the runner. If you have the ability as a pass catcher, that's going to be the pass catcher. He did the same thing in 2024 with Bucky Irvin and Rachaad White. He said, Bucky Irvin, you're my runner. I'm going to run you into the ground. I enjoy running the football with you. Now, you're a good pass catcher. Rachaad White's a good pass catcher. Y'all can both catch some passes, but you're going to get the run. Tank Bigsby, seems like he could be the runner that Liam Cohen falls in love with, just like he fell in love with Cam Akers, just like he fell in love with Bucky Irvin. So I think that already you're looking at one part of the running backfield locked up. Tank Bigsby is going to be the leading rusher of this team. Now it's about who's going to get the pass catching work. It could be a split, or he could just go with the easy answer, as you said, and go with Travis Etienne, who has been profiled as a pass catching back. And if you go back and you look at some of that Bucs film, it was a lot of usage and it was a lot of scheme that was going into those running back passes. And so this could be the best system for Travis Etienne to ever thrive as a passer here under Liam Cohen. And that would make him relevant for at least one more year. Bhayshul Tuten has some of the same issues as Travis Etienne as well when it comes to the pass blocking. So it's not like you're getting a way better pass blocker in Tuten than you're getting in Etienne, because Tuten wasn't even the best pass blocker in his team last year. So I think that there's a good possibility that you're looking at this and you're saying, yeah, Tuten could be great, but he's got a really, really hard uphill battle, and it's going to take an injury. It's going to take something else to make him fantasy relevant week after week after week. Maybe best ball, he's interesting, but I'm not there for redraft yet.
Daryl here.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Wait, one moment. Settle down. Simmer down. Settle down now.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
I want to let some of the people here speak, because a lot of the chatter here in the chat, as Daryl is talking about, a lot of other people talking about it, is the whole trying to play bingo with your lineup, the running back by committee. Nobody ends up winning sometimes with that, because it's different schemes against different teams in different weeks. That's what's very frustrating. So I will let you have your closing arguments. Let's put the poll up for the jury, and then the court will now hear Derek Brown and his big mouth. Go ahead. What do you have next here?
I just want to present another piece of evidence, Your Honor.
You can. They're deliberating. Let's put the poll up as you deliberate. Good.
The public defender represented a piece of evidence about Liam Cohen. I would also like to offer up to evidence. Can we also discuss Bucky Irving last year for Liam Cohen, and who is the closest version
I'll allow it
to Bucky Irving? Would that not be Bhayshul Tuten, Your Honor? So I just want to also, if we're going to discuss the evidence surrounding Liam Cohen, I would like to deliver all of the evidence and not just a cherry pick version of it.
Oh, whoa. I object, Your Honor, because
I knew you would.
I didn't cherry pick there. I do think that, hey,
you did not discuss the entire case, sir.
You had your moment, Derek Brown. I will hold you in contempt. Let Terrell Furman speak. You're welcome.
I said it. There is a role there. The Bucky Irving role was not only just a half of a pass catching role, but he was the main running back role. That's going to Tank Bigsby. I think that work is going to Tank Bigsby. Now, Tank Bigsby just doesn't have the profile to go out there and be the pass catcher, and that's where you may find a role for Tuten. But I'm not drafting Tuten just to get a split time pass catching back. I want somebody that's going to get that tough on the ground yards work, and it seems like all of that work is going to go to Tank Bigsby, just like majority of that work went to Bucky Irvin last year, and just like in 2022 when majority of that work went to Cam Akers.
Another question here, Terrell, that I'm going to let you answer here, which is sometimes we get in danger of copying and pasting what a coach is going to do just because you saw, an offensive coordinator once upon a time with another team do that, then get a head coaching job, and we all say, oh, it's just going to be like this. That's not always the case. Don't you think that's a little bit of a danger zone sometimes? Because sometimes that comes down from the head coach and what the identity of the offense is supposed to be, not necessarily the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. He's not Greg Roman. Greg Roman's not going to change for anybody. He doesn't care who his coach is. Greg Roman's going to do his thing. So there is a possibility. I think all of that comes into play. But in this case, I think that adding in the history, adding on top that he has two capable running backs ahead of him who I do think both have a role in the offense, it just doesn't seem enough where I'm willing to take him above some of the guys that are listed.
All right, there was just also to be clear, so the projections there, again, a small typo in that. So just to be clear, we're not looking for him to get 1,400 yards. Just that's not what we're looking for here. But let us discuss here the jury deliberation as we continue to go through here. So right now, the jury is telling me, yes, we do have a verdict. And this one is decisive. Now, not nearly as decisive as the Cam Skattebo one, but he is super fun. And if you love football, it's hard not to love Cam Skattebo. But Bhayshul Tuten I also love. Problem is, I'm drafting in my dynasty leagues, not my redraft leagues, and it looks like the jury is in agreement. They like Tuten a lot. They're just not in love with him right now, and certainly not with the aggressiveness. Derek Brown bit off more than he could chew, and he is choking on his own ranking because 67% say that they are not drafting Bhayshul Tuten. Get out of my courtroom, Bhayshul Tuten. You're not getting drafted this year, not at the Derek Brown value. But here's the question. This is kind of the bigger picture here. Who's the best value in that backfield, or should I say the best return on investment in that backfield based on their ADP, D-Bro? Because although I know you're going to say Tuten automatically here, I would assume, but in terms of the clarity of the past, I mean, ATN is certainly pretty cheap. Bigsby is not far after him. Don't you think those guys are pretty good returns on investment too, with maybe a little bit more floor?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's every back in that backfield not named Travis Etienne. So whoever's going to go later, if it's Tuten or if it's Tank, I'm willing to take shots on either one of those guys.
Terrell, do you agree with that statement? Just out of curiosity.
I'm just all in on Tank Bigsby this year. I think that his role, and he doesn't need the pass catching work. He's going to get all of the short yardage, the goal line work, and the main rushing work. I think that they're going to just keep force feeding him the ball. He's going to look great.
Ironically, you know who was all in on Tank Bigsby last year? That handsome young man down there, the bald one, Derek Brown. I used to be bald, and then I became a judge. Now I'm not anymore. I don't have that problem.
Able to buy yourself some hair these days.
Yeah, look, there's nobody. Yeah, that's what happens when you take bribes. That's what happens. This is the beauty of being a judge. But think about this: like there was nobody last year, nobody that was ahead of the Tank Bigsby curve more than Derek Brown. So I want to give you a little bit of credit there. Perhaps you are the Jaguar running back whisperer after all. We shall see. Before we get to the next person on our list to discuss, quick shout out to, don't forget to join us on our Twitch, twitch.tv/FantasyPros. That's the place to be 5 days a week talking football. So it's not just the YouTube channel anymore. Nah. We're also on the Twitch Mondays at 4, Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 2, and then Thursdays and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So go follow us there and subscribe. Use your Amazon Prime account. $5 gets rid of those nasty, annoying commercials. And then you can just watch all of the glory of Fantasy Pros, fantasy football discussions all the time without any more annoyances besides myself and Derek Brown. Let's get to the next player on our list. Bring him into the courtroom. This is a player, too, that I think all of us think has potential in 2025, that's for sure. Certainly a lot of guys mixed into this wide receiver core as we change our patterns here and positions away from the running back and now looking towards the wide receiver. This wide receiver resides in San Francisco, and he's a tough guy. He got shot last year and still played. And it's weird that that's the second guy in 2 years that's gotten shot and then played professional football. I'd like to have a 2025 where that doesn't happen. I'm just saying that right now. The gods of football listening, let's not have that happen anymore. That seems like a terrible thing. But Ricky Pearsall this year, ECR of 44. That's where he is going to be currently drafted. However, that young man down there, Derek Brown, thinks that is not aggressive enough. He's got him at wide receiver 33. Now, this is a leap of faith, but at the same time, it's also very wise because you do have Juwan Jennings holding out. You do have Brandon Ayuk returning from major surgery. You also have George Kittle another year older, and CMC, who knows? And we can never really trust the 49ers on what they tell us. So let's bring Ricky Pearsall into the courtroom, put him on the stand. Court is in session. Ricky Pearsall, should we draft him? Should we not? Terrell Furman Jr., I will let you first defend the ECR, the expert consensus ranking, because I think the expert consensus ranking is reasonable personally. It's in the view of this court that Ricky Pearsall is a very nice investment with upside, but why do I want to be more aggressive on him when I can wait and still get him anyway? That is the tough part here. Trying to wrap my mind around Derek Brown's argument. I'm going to let him stew in that for a moment. You talk to me about why Ricky Pearsall at 45 is where he should be going.
Well, first, I would like to object and say that Juwan Jennings is not holding out. He's, in fact, holding in. He is at training camp. He's
objection
doing the
sustained.
Work, and
he's doing the work. Yes,
he's saying, I'm here, and, hey, look, when the opportunity comes, I'm trying to take my spot back as the number one with injuries. That's the only time he's the number one with injuries. What's going on this season? Injuries. We don't know when Brandon Ayuk is coming back. You got multiple players that are dealing with injuries, including Ricky Pearsall just coming back from a hamstring. You got Cowing that's dealing with another injury. Even Juwan Jennings has a little banged up. Like, this whole wide receiver room has been all messed up. But guess what? Juwan Jennings last year, and Debro knows this because Debro has Juwan Jennings ranked relatively high as well. Weeks 10 through 18, 25.1% target share during those weeks. He was the guy. Even just watching, not even interest in fantasy, just watching, you saw Brock Purdy get a comfortability with Juwan Jennings. And so, is Pearsall going to be good? Sure, but I want to argue for Debro because I looked at Debro's rankings. And I saw him. He had Juwan Jennings under him. He had Josh Downs and Rome Odunze under him, two players that I think have a more clear defined role in their offense and prime for big years. He's got Jordan Addison under him, who I think has a defined role, who is primed for a big year. And Debro likes the quarterback over there too. So I am just curious on how Ricky Pearsall gets to jump all of these other players when CMC's coming back. That's another impact to this team, to this offense that's going to be felt. So he's going to be competing. I think that it's going to be a lot of CMC, George Kittle, and then everybody else is just going to kind of get in where they fit in, and it's going to be a little bit of roulette.
I will give you this. Terrell Furman Jr. has done his homework today, folks. He has done his homework, and he has studied with due diligence here the rankings of Derek Brown. He's really kind of coming for you a little bit, dear D. What do you think of that? I mean, he's basically saying that you're out of order. Your rankings are out of order. This whole courtroom is out of order. So talk to me about Ricky Pearsall, because I understand maybe ranking a guy where he might finish, but again, this is draft season. It's one thing to be aggressive. It's another thing to be out of control. Ricky Pearsall at 33 in your rankings, 44 in the ECR. That's over 10 spots difference. That's a big cavern. We're talking about a wide receiver 4, more of like a fill-in bye week guy, or maybe more of a flex guy. At wide receiver 33, he has to be a number 3 consistent all the time.
Let's have a 100-foot view here, boys. Judge Joey, would you like to invest in an extremely talented former first-round NFL drafted wide receiver that flashed, and I will admit this, in a small sample, but did flash in their rookie season, surrounded by a 27-year-old fourth-year breakout, another wide receiver coming off a torn ACL, and we still know and believe that this offense is going to be top 10 and top 12 in scoring? That's what I'm saying with my chest, that I want to believe in that player, in Ricky Pearsall, who also, when the 49ers last year asked him to step up and show, can you be a guy we can lean on going into the 2025 season, Ricky Pearsall emphatically answered the bell. The final 2 weeks of the regular season, wide receiver 7, wide receiver 14 in fantasy scoring. So while it seems aggressive, I'm ranking this guy as a top 36 wide receiver. This man, when he was a focal point of the offense, produced top 15 numbers in back-to-back weeks, while also garnering almost a 22% target share, 2.84 yards per route run. And yet, this is not a player that we want to be investing in. Oh, and just like Mr. Furman laid out here, Juwan Jennings is also having issues wanting a new contract and is still, as of today, recording this and discussing this in this courtroom, still not present at practice because he is dealing with a calf injury, while Ricky Pearsall is a full go in practice.
Let the record show.
Object, Your Honor. Let the record
show. You need to
let
object.
the record show that Ricky Pearsall just got back to practice.
You might want to hear this, Terrell, because it might help your argument. It might not, but I just want to lay this out there too. Those 2 weeks that Derek Brown's talking about, week 18, nobody plays defense at week 18, and certainly not the Arizona Cardinals, who, by the way, used their entire draft this year to just take defensive players. That's how bad their defense was. And then week 17, a Detroit Lions offense, where he did have 8 catches for 141 yards and a touchdown. But did we not also see that Detroit Lions offense get lit up at home just a few weeks later in the playoffs with all the injuries that they had by the Washington Commanders? The answer is emphatically yes, they did. So I'm not sure by that measuring stick if that is where we want to put all our eggs in that basket necessarily. Now, I'm going to let the jury deliberate after. These are just the facts. Just the facts. That's what we're about here. Derek Brown is right. He did finish. Actually, he was wrong. He finished as wide receiver 8 and wide receiver 14, unless he's talking about PPR leagues. I'm not sure. In half PPR, it was wide receiver 8, not 7. So, again, there's a little details, but I'm watching you, Brown. I got my eye on you, Derek Brown. Terrell Furman Jr., you had an objection. Let's hear it here as the jury is now in full deliberation. Vote. The poll is up. Everybody here who is hanging out with us here on the YouTube channel, go ahead, vote in the poll. Go ahead, Terrell Furman Jr. The court will now hear your objection.
Oh no, it was just Ebro coming from my guy Jennings, who just got hurt in practice when Pearsall missed the whole training camp before that. So I think that we're a little bit closer of
OTAs.
Jennings.
We're talking about OTAs.
OTAs. He missed the first half of training camp. The day that Juwan Jennings went out was the first day that.
Simmer down, Derek Brown.
Don't send me an AI reference. Don't give me an AI reference and try to make me keep a straight face here.
Talk
you
about
know
OTAs.
me.
All right. That's it. That's all you got. I thought you had more. All right, fine.
No, he threw me off
OTAs.
here, but no, I am emphatically out on the 49ers offense as a whole. I think that it still will be a step back. And that is one where I say if the 49ers offense is still a top 10 offense and there's still this great offense, then I'll correct that I'm wrong. And Pearsall is probably going to be good, but I also am lower on the 49ers offense and saying that they're probably not going to be as good as everybody thinks they are.
Now, this could be a circumstance where I would offer arbitration here and say somewhere in the middle, but I have to be honest. Looking at Ricky Pearsall at 45, going in between Downs and Pittman, again, question marks there with their offense as well. Going after Deebo Samuel makes sense there too. I think Deebo with a chip on his shoulder is intriguing to me at least. But going ahead of Cooper Kupp, Brandon Ayuk, that all makes sense to me. That I think the ECR might have it right. Personally, that's what I think. But to Derek Brown's point, I do think there is a world we live in where his ranking ends up being the correct finishing spot. So it's whether or not you want to draft him at where he finishes, or do you want to draft him at where he's going at ADP, which is also reasonable. So please, jury, take that into account when giving your final verdict here. Now, Prodigy also brings up a point, Derek Brown. The 49ers do have a soft schedule. Does that enter into your psyche and your ranking as well?
It definitely does. Good players play well, and we know this team is going to put up a ton of points. Bad defenses raise the ceiling and the floor.
Yeah. Daryl also says that the American courts are so much more lively than our British courts. Than Canada. Everyone's much nicer and smarter in those places. Not here. Not here. We let it all hang out. It's a big mess. Here's another one from JW here. Ricky Pearsall probably going to be easily between the third and fourth option. If CMC can't stay healthy, it will be even more. But look, that's the thing. It's like if you're starting off as the third or fourth option and guys are getting hurt ahead of you, sure, there's opportunity, but it does mean you have to have a little bit more luck go your way in Ricky Pearsall. Well, the jury has deliberated and the verdict is in. This time around, guess what, boys and girls? The jury says we are drafting Ricky Pearsall. 71%.
The jury is
Case is dismissed. Yeah, draft Ricky Pearsall aggressively this season. That's what the jury wants to do there. And I understand why. There were some glimpses at the end. Terrell Furman Jr., here's the big question. Can he get there without any of these injuries? Can he get to that spot just by outplaying everybody else on the depth chart?
Yeah, I think he can. I think there's a possibility. I just think it's highly unlikely. I think that there's a lot of touches that are going to go still Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle's way. And then it's going to be an onslaught between him and Juwan Jennings. And it's going to be 1 week is him, 1 week is Jennings, 1 week is none, 1 week is both. It's up and down. And I think in best ball, I like that. I like that thought and that I can get those good weeks when they happen. But trying to pick them out in redraft, I'm not there yet.
All right. One thing you should try out is our draft assistant. That's right, because we have the greatest tools on the planet when it comes to fantasy football. So sync your leagues for free at FantasyPros. Did I mention it's free? And if you're torn between players, just like this jury will be at times, don't worry, because Draft Assistant will recommend you the right pick in real time once you're on the clock. It connects directly to your draft and provides you with real-time pick suggestions. I use it for every single one of my drafts. This is how I win the expert leagues that I'm in all the time, because I'm using the tool. So don't be a tool. Use the tool. Draft Assistant fully integrates and customizes cheat sheets with your suggested picks based on your rankings, team build, ADP, and other factors. So if you want to dominate your draft in real time without all the guesswork, then Draft Assistant is for you. Go to fantasypros.com/assistant, or just check out the Fantasy Football Draft Wizard app today. Download that bad boy. And when you do, claim your 3-day trial of Fantasy Pros Premium. Again, that's fantasypros.com/premium. Go use the tools. It's time for another debate here over at Fantasy Football Draft Court. This time, we are going to have another wide receiver, but we are back to the rookies. Now, this guy could be the ex-wide receiver. He could get even more work, potentially, if Quentin Johnston keeps dropping footballs, and that seems to be his MO with his frying pan hands. However, Tre Harris is still a rookie and has to earn his way with a salty old veteran coach in Harbaugh, so we'll see if that can happen for the Chargers. Let's bring Tre Harris into Fantasy Football Draft Court. It's time to deliberate. Are we drafting him or are we not? Derek Brown is aggressive on Tre Harris, as am I. But Derek Brown is a little bit more aggressive than Judge Joey is. Terrell Furman Jr., the ECR is at 57. Quite reasonable. I would say, dare I say, a value in that spot. At wide receiver 44, a little bit more aggressive now. We're talking about a guy who's really got to contribute in that range. At wide receiver 44, we're talking about where Ricky Pearsall is being drafted, where you're getting Emeka Egbuka, who had more draft capital, but also a crowded situation there for him. Second-year wideouts like Keon Coleman, and then guys in new places like Stephon Diggs and Deebo Samuel. So I'm a little tough to sell on this one. But Debro, someone once said that you could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. So I'm going to let you try to do that today and see if you can sell me on Tre Harris at wide receiver 44. The floor is yours.
We want to invest in talented players. That's where we should start this conversation. Then talent is a reflection, or targets and volume are a reflection of talent, and Tre Harris has the talent. For a player that over the last 2 collegiate years was ranked 1st and 9th in yards per route run, then we know that he's going to get catchable targets and really good quarterback play from Justin Herbert. So we were discussing here, what's the path that Tre Harris doesn't make it and doesn't pan out at this ranking that I have set forth? Okay, people are going to point to Quentin Johnston, and they're going to look at his touchdowns. They're going to look at the final season stats. When I say the final season stats for Quentin Johnston last year lie to you, when you look at 711 receiving yards, does everybody understand, and Judge Joey brought this earlier, about Week 18, how much does it matter? For Quentin Johnston, Week 18 accounted for 26% of his receiving yards for the entire season. If you take that massive game out, Quentin Johnston had only an 18% target share. He only had 37.5 receiving yards per game. I'm sorry, people, but those are not going to pay the bills. And those are not going to earn targets for QJ in 2025 with Tre Harris now in this offense. Tre Harris is already popping off at camp. Hype reels and clips for days, every single day at practice. He's going to surpass, if he hasn't already, Quentin Johnston in this target pecking order, being Justin Herbert's clear number 2 that can not only stretch a defense but work underneath as an awesome wide receiver 4 with upside for the Chargers and fantasy managers.
All right, there you go. Taking some shots there at Quentin Johnston, but I like the math. Math is good. There, I have checked it. It does check out there. Terrell Furman Jr., again, it's not so much whether you like Tre Harris or not. It's whether or not you want to be aggressive because you believe he becomes the X early in the year and really becomes a huge contributor. That is really the question. So ECR of 57, very reasonable, but again, let's defend maybe some of the shortcomings or maybe some of the things we haven't thought about when it comes to selecting Tre Harris this year if you want to be aggressive.
Yes, and if you want to be aggressive, I understand it, but I just don't know if this is the player I'm ready to be aggressive about, with just not understanding, okay, what is the Quentin Johnston impact this year? Because you got to give it to him. He's now a 3rd-year wide receiver. This is the breakout year of wide receivers of when they really, really start to put it together, and the new coaching staff has proven that, hey, we have a level of trust in this guy. We see him get better. He got better with yards after the catch and being able to break tackles off of the previous season, and the touchdown department. 33% of his fantasy points came from touchdowns. I don't think that's going away. Now, I think the only thing that happens into that is now Tre Harris and Quentin Johnston, who are both pretty big wide receivers, are going out and battling for those touchdowns from Justin Herbert. And so I think they eat into their own production and they bring both each other down. You look at 2 years ago, Justin Herbert's week 1 through 14, he did not support a second wide receiver. It was just Keenan Allen at wide receiver 8. Quentin Johnston was 78. Palmer was 80. The last year, then he was able, some of those plays went into Johnston. Debro brought up the good angle. If a lot of it came in week 18, I'm fine with that. But I, for one, somebody who's not big on Justin Herbert and says, hey, Justin Herbert kind of gets it for him. He gets it for his top guy, but really nobody else in the offense.
Some good points here made by both gentlemen here about Tre Harris. Tre Harris certainly a guy who has a lot of opportunity this year. And for everyone who's always worried about the Chargers and say, well, they're going to be very run heavy. Yes, but come on. Justin Herbert's still going to throw for 4,000 yards. That's going to go to somebody here, okay? So it's not all going to go to Ladd McConkey. He's not going to have 2,000 yards receiving. Now, I will say on QJ's defense, he did have 8 touchdowns last year. Would he have more if he could catch a few more balls? Probably. But again, it certainly was better in year 2. Was it good in year 2? That's tough to defend. So let's put it to the jury and let you decide here on Fantasy Pros. Don't forget to like this stream while you're watching it. And, of course, subscribe to Fantasy Pros. Drop your comments below. And it's time for you to vote on Tre Harris. Are we drafting him or are we not? Are we being aggressive here in the Derek Brown world? Or are we going to just say, yeah, you know what? Let him fall in ECR. Let's see what everybody else decides. And, Derek, I'm getting a little tired of people telling me about the Jim Harbaugh, well, they're never going to throw the football stuff. Like, I heard that noise last year, and that's why everybody was trying to tell me, oh, you're crazy for thinking Ladd McConkey could go in there as a rookie and be a target hog. And guess what? They were wrong. Judge Joey was right. Ladd McConkey was a star. Here's the question. With Ladd McConkey kind of being the favorite target, and we do have Amari and Hampton there now, and Najee Harris, and I think 2 more capable running backs, and also capable of catching the ball out of the backfield. Do you think that just the style of offense caps Tre Harris to a certain degree?
I think the style of offense can honestly help Tre Harris because if you look at Greg Roman's history, they do not highly throw to the running backs in his offensive scheme. So this is also an offense that quietly last year, week 7 through 18, the Chargers were 8th in neutral passing rate, 6th in pass rate over expectation. And while we all could say Greg Roman is going to run the ball, we know what Greg Roman likes to do. Can we also give Justin Herbert a little bit of respect here and say that he's arguably the best passer that has ever conducted the Greg Roman offense? And this is no shade to Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson, the passer when Greg Roman was there, is not Lamar Jackson who he is now as an NFL player. So we could see, and I'm not saying top 10 passing rate, but could we see them at least league average as far as how much they're throwing the football? And to Terrell's earlier point about Quentin Johnston and what he did or didn't do last year, yes, the Chargers have so much faith in Quentin Johnston that they went out and they spent a 2nd round pick on Tre Harris to add to this offense. That shows how much faith that they had in Quentin Johnston after last year.
All right, before the poll comes in here on the final deliberation regarding Tre Harris's value, Terrell, let's talk about Justin Herbert a second. A guy who took the league by storm, set a rookie passing record for yards, then followed up with 5,000 the next year, then 4,700, then an injury, but he bounced back for 3,870 last year, just 23 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. You like the ratio, but you'd like to see a little bit more touchdowns. If indeed Justin Herbert can get back to the 25 to 30 range, or, maybe dare I say more than 30, could Tre Harris end up being more of a wide receiver 2 where Ladd McConkey finishes a wide receiver 1 in fantasy? Could that be there? And all of a sudden we're looking at a much younger, more explosive Charger offense than we even could have imagined.
Yeah, it could. And hopefully but Greg Roman doesn't tank it, because I'll argue that Lamar Jackson was always the passer he was. It's because Greg Roman was running the offense and didn't let him do any of it. They didn't let him showcase any of it at all. And so if they
Agreed.
start playing around with that offense and then they start tinkering around with Justin Herbert trying to fix something that isn't broken, then he could have that step back. And that's where I'm seeing, oh, yeah, it's a little bit lower on the wide receiver twos in the Justin Herbert offense. But yeah, of course, Justin Herbert goes and throws out for 4,000 yards. You would think a wide receiver emerges from that, but it just hasn't always been the case with this and in Greg Roman's offense in general.
Objection sustained. Very good. Very nice. The Greg Roman didn't let Lamar do enough. I agree. I love Lamar. And Lamar is showing everybody how good Lamar is right now. And he's talking about himself in the third person, I hope, just like I am. All right, let's get to the jury's final verdict here. 68%. It is not close. Again, this time, though, we are going with saying yes to the Harris. That's right. We are drafting Tre Harris. We're being aggressive. Derek Brown gets another victory, much to the chagrin of myself and Terrell Furman Jr. I'm still drafting him at cost, though. I'm where Terrell is in the ECR. I love Tre Harris, but I love him because he's a value and because I feel like those casuals won't do it. So I will say this to everybody out there in the casual fantasy football leagues, just let him sit there at ADP. You could probably get another running back, another wide receiver, and get your Tre Harris, too. That's how you go win a championship. But again, you're smarter than everybody else. That's why you're watching these shows in the first place. So like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more amazing fantasy football content. And you know what else you should do? I'll tell you what. You should join our Discord, our fantasy football community, FantasyPros.com/chat. That is the place to go. You can be on the shows. We do AMAs there. We have mock draft Mondays. We just did a bunch of mock drafts with our favorite people in our community. They fill up fast too. You put out a mock draft and boom, 10 seconds later it's filled. It's a good time. So be part of the madness. Be part of the community. Find leagues. Find dynasty leagues. Talk trades. Talk waiver. Talk smack. But just hang out with us and talk over on our Discord. Again, FantasyPros.com/chat. It's free, it's fun, and we want you to be part of our Fantasy Pros community this season to help you get that championship and dominate all your leagues. Our final discussion today is not a running back. No. It is not a wide receiver. It's a quarterback that happens to be not quite a rookie. J.J. McCarthy did not play in his first season due to a very sad knee injury. We had to wait a little bit longer. And that was sad for all of us. Now, the good news was the Vikings somehow resurrected the corpse of Sam Darnold and got him all the way to the playoffs. Quite a job there by one Kevin O'Connell. But now we're going to finally see J.J. McCarthy. The problem is we see him a little differently. The ECR has him at QB 20. Fair, nice superflex value. I like where he is as a low-end QB 2. Even better yet as my third QB if I could somehow wrangle that. Ooh, it's a sexy upside there. However, Derek Brown, I don't know if he got into the stash that all the drug enforcement agency guys got, and he went a little too hard the night before on this ranking because his ranking is a QB 9. I think he did his rankings looking a little bit like Scarface at the scene at the desk, potentially there. But QB 9, to say that's aggressive, would be the understatement of the century. But I'm here for it. I want to hear it, and I want to build the tension. So let's bring J.J. McCarthy officially to the table. Court is in session on J.J. McCarthy. Terrell Furman Jr., I want you to lay down the tracks a little bit here. Lay down the groundwork of some sanity here. I mean, QB 20 for a guy who's never thrown a pass in the NFL seems optimistic and realistic. Would you agree?
Yes, it's a very, very solid floor that is going on with JJ. And I can understand D-Bro as much of a lot of people. You want to draft on the ceiling. And is his ceiling QB9? Well, Sam Darnold was QB9 last year, so I think his ceiling can be QB9 for sure. I'll give you that. But for him to be QB9, he would have to have over 300 fantasy points this season, which is effectively his rookie season. You go and look at rookie quarterbacks that were able to amass that fantasy total, and you have Cam Newton, Justin Herbert, and Robert Griffin III. Outside of that, CJ Stroud in 2023 only got to 280, which still brings him in the 14 to 15 quarterback range here. So do I like JJ? Do I think that Kevin O'Connell has a good thing going? Yes. He made Sam Darnold relevant. I get it. But JJ still, everybody, it's the experience. You have to play football, and we feel a lot better. Could you be a Jalen Daniels? Absolutely. But I didn't profile him as Jalen Daniels, or I would have had him as the Giants quarterback. I would have, but he didn't profile as good as Jalen Daniels. I don't think the talent is there. And I think that there'll be different quarterback situations that will come up and say, hey, maybe 13, maybe 12 this week, maybe 10. Maybe he has a good week here, maybe it's a bad week there. I'm not 100% sold that he's just going to vault Dak Prescott and all these other guys into being a top 10 quarterback. So I'm going to draft closer to his floor than his ceiling.
I got to say, it's not that I don't like J.J. McCarthy, but the amount of failure ahead of him that has to happen for not just his success to drag him into a top 10 QB, but it's the failure of everybody else ahead of him and multiple failures. Mm-hmm. That is a tough pill to swallow. That's a tough pill for me to swallow here. Derek Brown, justify yourself right now. The court will hear your argument for J.J. McCarthy at QB 9.
Why do we not love J.J. McCarthy and Kevin Connell enough? That is what we're saying in ECR. That is what everybody's saying. Although we just saw the reclamation project of Sam Darnold, and Mr. Furman brought this up. He was QB 9. Do we all think that Sam Darnold is a better quarterback than J.J. McCarthy? I don't, and other people shouldn't either. For a quarterback in his final collegiate season, he ranked inside the top 12 quarterbacks in FBS in passing grade, adjusted completion rate, yards per attempt, not done yet, people, adjusted completion rate on deep throws, and adjusted completion rate versus pressure. In the context of a Vikings offense that we know is going to be pass happy. So for everybody that says, oh, they're going to run the ball based off of what? They threw the ball in a top 5 clip with Sam freaking Darnold under center last year. This offense was 8th in neutral passing rate, 3rd in pass rate over expectation. And I'm not alone in this assertion that JJ is going to be better than what ECR is saying. Our projections on FantasyPros.com have him as QB 14. And to Mr. Furman's point about hitting 300 fantasy points, right now we have a projection of him at 289 fantasy points, knocking on the door of 300 fantasy points, 5 points on an entire season worth of football away from QB 12. So it's not just me you need to believe in. You need to believe in the projections as well, where the ECR is wrong. All right.
Not bad. So Derek Brown, give me this before I turn it over to the jury. Because Sam Darnold last year, just talking about the stats, 4,319 yards passing, 35 touchdowns, 12 picks, 212 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. Mm-hmm. Those are basically the numbers he's got to get to or exceed. Now, I find it hard to believe he's going to get over that 4,300 passing mark, but it's the rushing equity I think he brings a little bit more with his legs that could be a little bit more intriguing as opposed to Sam Darnold, who's a little bit more of a statue in the pocket. Is that where you're looking for the deficit to be made up in fantasy points?
I will point back to you, Judge Joey, the previous season where we say he cannot make, and the rushing is up for debate. That's fine. We can debate that. But what I would like to point out here is if we go to the previous year and say, okay, he can't throw for more than 4,000 passing yards, because we didn't see a 2023 season where Kirk Cousins, Jaron Hall, Nick Mullins, Joshua Dobbs combined for 4,359 passing yards and 30 touchdowns in a KOC offense. But we don't think J.J. McCarthy can hit those numbers?
Enrico Palazzo might be onto something here. McCarthy could be top 15, but not top 10. I tend to agree. I will offer you arbitration right now, gentlemen, if you want to settle at QB 15, the two of you. Otherwise, I will turn it over to the crazy people watching this stream today.
I'm not settling.
Derek Brown refuses.
I'm not settling because he's not settling.
Not settling.
Sounds like when my parents used to argue. All right, let's go to the jury. The jury, are we drafting J.J. McCarthy aggressively at QB 9, or are we just going to let him simmer down there at QB 20? So the poll is up. Vote right now. That's what we want you to do. And don't forget to like this video, share, subscribe. Again, we're trying to get to 300,000 subscribers this year. We could do it. All you got to do is subscribe and help us be part of our Fantasy Pros community. So here we go, waiting on the results here from the jury. And I got to say, like, this is exciting because I think the other thing that's interesting that's tied to this is the Justin Jefferson draft stock, Terrell, that I see continuously moving towards, just like last year, towards the middle of the draft. I saw somebody get him at 10 last year, which made me laugh out loud. I couldn't believe he made it that far in a draft. And this year, I mean, I just got him yesterday. What was I, 4, I think, yesterday where I took him? And he could have easily ended up probably 5 or 6. Terrell, I'm confident that JJ can sustain Justin Jefferson as a top 2 or 3 overall pick. Are you?
Yes, I am. I will give him that. I think the talent of Justin Jefferson is just too far ahead. And it's actually going to make things a lot easier. And that's why I think that JJ's going to actually have a pretty good season because he has a Justin Jefferson, a Jordan Addison to throw the football to and make things a lot easier. Kevin O'Connell has been really, really good at scheming these guys open. So, yeah, I think that Justin Jefferson absolutely. And same thing for Jordan Addison on the back end. I think Jordan Addison's going a little bit later than what he probably should be. I will give that. But it doesn't mean that JJ McCarthy is a top 10 quarterback.
All right, Derek Brown. I think you can, again, still see Justin Jefferson finishing top 2 or 3 wide receivers and JJ McCarthy still finishing somewhere around QB 15, 14. I think that is realistic. 9, again, it's not even, and I like JJ. I'm a fan. And now that I know you're as big of a fan as you are, I know this Saturday when we sit next to each other in our Flex League draft, if I want JJ McCarthy, I better take him before you. Is that clear? Is that
you better be drafting him aggressively. You know it, Joey.
Aggressively. I can't wait to see it. This is like last year when I drafted Justin Fields aggressively and everyone looked at me like I was crazy. And then I was the one laughing when he was QB6 for the first 6 weeks of the season. Damn you. Damn you, Mike Tomlin.
Very much like last year when I almost went undefeated in that league.
You did, almost, but wasn't meant to be. Who beat you in the playoffs? Do you remember?
I don't know. It wasn't you, though.
I remember I kept saying to Debro, as a guy who has won that league 3 times in 6 years, I said, be careful when you have one of these monster regular seasons that never ends well. And Debro was a monster last year. He had Jalen Hurts, and these Stunads let him get Jaden Daniels in the second round, made it all the way back. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It hurt my brain. All right, this one's very close, gentlemen. The closest one we've had. The jury is in. The vote is in. 54% say that they are drafting JJ McCarthy. Draft him aggressively. There you go. Don't hate the judge. Hate the jury, baby. I got nothing for you. I don't make the rules. I just execute them. And I am Judge Joey, an executioner around these places here. Good job, Terrell Furman Jr. Being the public defender is tough. They make you wear those suede patches on your jacket sometimes. Show everybody the suede patches on your elbows. I think that, yeah, there you go. They got to make you wear those. Derek Brown, great job as always, my friend, defending some crazy. At 9 is this too much for my
not so crazy per consensus, sir.
Well, look, we have a lot of crazies here with us in the chat, but I love all these crazies. And again, I want everybody here to subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. Drop your comments below. Win that James Cook jersey. You only got a couple days left of that bad boy, so get in there now from pristineauction.com. Again, like, subscribe, drop your comments. Boom. That James Cook red jersey could be yours. I know Terrell Furman Jr. is seeing red, so let's get out of here. That'll do it for us. But
I'm seeing red. I'm seeing red, by the way. Side bet, D-Bro. Patrick Mahomes, JJ. Who's higher?
Oh, now we getting somewhere.
JJ, I'll take it.
All right, we got it. I got Pat.
Witness. I am here for it. Let's go, baby. Drop your comments. Who's going to be higher, Mahomes or JJ? Oh, yeah, the comments. I can feel the buzz on the YouTube stream.
I'm going to get so much hate.
That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Derek Brown and Terrell Furman Jr., I'm Judge Joey. We'll see you next time, kids. Court is dismissed. That was salty, Terrell. Ooh, I like that finish.
Comments are going to come for me, and it's fine.
Hey, that's all right.
It's all good.
Will they circle back at the end of the year, though, to tell you you're right?
No, they won't be around for the